It's Thursday night, excuse me, which means it's another episode of the Redox 5. I'm Dr. Maureen Hayes from Galveston, Texas. I'm here with Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio, Texas. Jim's our big money man, and Ann is our beautiful personal trainer and nutritionist. And of course, we have the unbelievable Dr. Lee Osler from Washington State, dentist extraordinaire, founder and past president of AOSH, author of several books on redox. Gosh, I could go on and on. And tonight we have a very special guest. You guys have been clamoring for us to bring him back. He has such amazing information that he has shared with us already. And he just told us that he's going to be adding even more to that. And that's Dr. Mark DeBrincat, coming to us from sunny Florida, formerly from Colorado, I just found out. And he's the one who uses brain mapping and has shown what these amazing molecules do for brain activity and function. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Dr. DeBrincat so he can talk about his journey with ASEA and what he's found with the new products that we brought out. So Dr. DeBrincat, come on and tell us how you got introduced. Tell us about your background and what happened in your life that kind of changed your focus as a physician and a chiropractor, and then bring us up to the present. And we'll jump in with questions.
Yeah, thank you, Maureen, and thank you, all of you. So nice to be a guest again and to just to be part of this movement. You know, before I met all of you, I've actually been watching you guys for several years, and I just love the diversity of all the clients you have on, and of course, their stories, and so many doctors, and I've learned so much from all of you to kind of build this foundation. But I am a chiropractor and I specialize in neurofeedback and biofeedback and in brain mapping, and really had 30-year career at brain trauma, spinal trauma, and helping people find their amazing breakthroughs in whatever their health journey is. And so I have a unique ability of looking at the whole them and being able to point out things that we still can do. You know, instead of telling you the bad news, I'm actually the good news doctor, and, you know, can show you how to overcome all sorts of things. So my wife and I, unfortunately, years ago, were in a head-on collision. Let me do this one instead. Hold on. We were in a bad car accident, and a head-on collision, and I suffered severe injuries through my pelvis and spine, and my wife had to have her neck replaced. And so I was confined to a wheelchair for many years, 7 back surgeries. And the year I found ASEA was the same year I came out of my chair. And that's been over a decade now. It's been very exciting times. You know, never giving up hope, always knowing that my body's always making another version of my cells, and I can either get behind that and work with that to make the best version, or I can complain about what I have going on, and then all that negativity pulls out the negative aspect of my genes fighting to survive, rather than healing and bringing me a DNA that was back from my 20s. Like, that's what I need right now, long before I had all of these issues. So I kept staying the course and staying the course. And in that year, I had several breakthroughs, and ASEA was one of them. And I didn't really realize how much it was doing for me until a couple years later, when I stopped it for a little bit and thinking, I'm not sure if I'm really noticing anything. Well, of course, my whole neurology started to fall apart once again. So I was very fortunate to meet Jack and Sherry Clark. She actually was a patient of mine and came into the office, and we're talking about all the cool stuff and technologies that I have. And she's like, oh, yes, I've used that and I've used that. And have you seen this? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I've used that too. And it was like, you know, 2 peas in a pod, just talking about health and vitality and all the things that we do. And then she asked me, well, do you know about redox signaling? And I'm like, well, why don't I know about that? What are you referring to? And I always referred to that as innate intelligence. Like, my brain has a thought and it sends that signal where it's supposed to go, and I don't really have to think about it. And it just has all this internal healing that happens from the cell out. Like, I knew that was happening, but nobody ever really talks about cellular health in the contents of actually having something that is made in the cell. That was very intriguing to me. And so, in the world of neurofeedback training, globally, the protocols are typically about 30 minutes of having wires hooked up to your brain. You're watching TV, and the TV's fading in and out depending on whether you're doing the thing I want you to do with your brain. If you can behave and calm it down, I'll feed you your show. If I need to wake it up, the threshold's the other way. And so you're not thinking about, you're enjoying your show, but it fades in and out. And we're literally targeting new tissue growth in your brain. And so we're limited to about 30 minutes. When we talk about brain health in general, and I know our audience has heard the word mitochondria, this is the powerhouse of our cells. Now, your gut cells have a few, your muscle cells have a few hundred, your heart cells have like 8,000. Well, your brain cells have 2.5 million. So we talk about oxidative stress. Well, we're 2 million times more going on between your ears than anywhere else in your body. So when you start doing cognitive things that challenge your brain and make you really focus on something, it's like turning up the RPMs in your brain, and you're making more redox to put it out, and you're also making more oxidative waste and stress in your brain. So typically about 20 minutes into these therapy sessions, people will feel their face start to get a little flush. And then they feel like I'm losing my focus a little bit, looking around the room. And if they try to keep going, they end up getting a headache. So we were told for decades, just don't push them past 30 minutes. The brain can't handle it. Well, let me tell you, I was
I was going to
disabled.
ask. Yeah, I
My
was going to ask.
brain was on fire. I would do the 20 minutes twice a week for a few years, and it never changed anything. So I put the equipment in the closet and didn't think about it for a few years. And then somebody challenged my limited belief, if you want to call it that, and says, well, why don't you just do it like an hour a day? I'm like, oh, you can't do that. And he says, well, why not? Well, they told me I can't. Well, who's they? And why would they tell you that? And so I had to start asking, well, you know what? You're right. And so we learned all sorts of body hacks that we could do to put us into a space that would make us be able to go further, like cutting out all sugar and getting your body into ketosis. Your brain can become really resilient. And so I started doing that. And within about 90 days, I could dress myself. I could get myself out of my bed and into my wheelchair without a bunch of people helping me. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm having these amazing breakthroughs. It's just an hour and a half a day. But we couldn't push it more than that. It just wouldn't allow us. And then we get redox. We're doing 4 hours a day, every day of the month, all over the globe. And that's like 2 years of training that everybody else does. Like, why would you want to wait that long? I keep looking over my shoulder. And isn't every neurofeedback doctor doing this? This is so amazing. Look at the results we're getting. It's all about trading time for tissue growth. The more time you do, the more neuroplasticity that you can create. Then we fast forward to Redox Gold a decade later, and oh my goodness, now I was having to drink close to a bottle a day just to deal with my own neurological issues. And one little baby drop of that, the size of the pea, putting it right on my brainstem, all the horrible sensations I was having in my feet and hands, it stopped within just a couple minutes. And it first time I did it, it lasted like 3.5 days. So I was like, oh my God, this is a miracle. I had to drink this much ASEA just to get the NRF2 gene activated strong enough to get the results I was needing to deal with my neurological issues. So I didn't take any drink for a couple days because I go a day without it and I literally fall apart. I made it a few days and then the gold wasn't working. And I was like, oh no, my potential has dropped so low because I stopped drinking it that now the gold isn't enough. And so it really was a combination of I was doing all the right things to bring all my cellular potential strong again, but I needed a little extra nudge on that NRF2 gene and it did miracles. And so I'm like, wow, if it's doing that for me, like, well, what does it do for everybody else? Like, what would happen if I just put a dab on everybody's brainstem and waited 15 minutes and then looked at it again? And it was pretty exciting. It was far more exciting than any of the other things I've done with Redox before. Of course, we're quantifying it objectively. which is important because anybody can say they feel some kind of way, and testimonies are great. But for me, not until I know the science. I need to know why this would work, what's the mechanism of action. And then I get it. Now I want to see all the testimonies, but I don't want to go into learning the science with a skewed mind, so to say.
Yeah.
Mark, can you, for those that don't know what we're talking about, can you please explain? I didn't watch the whole thing, but there's a 5-minute video that you have explaining redox 4 years ago. Could you explain, please, basically to me, non-medical, what these basic molecules are doing? You mentioned NRF2. Can you kind of go over that, please?
Well, Jim, it all boils back to potential. We can talk about different illnesses or conditions or symptoms or anything that somebody has, but all that means, without putting a label on it, is it's robbing your battery life of your cells. So it's pulling away that potential to not allow you to have so much energy diverted to the things you need to. It's kind of like when you have an injury, I stay in bed all day to heal because I can't use my energy to go do what I do all day and have enough left over to heal. So we slow down, we let our bodies heal. So when it comes to that potential, your body is amazing. It makes it so fast, typically as much as it needs, with as much it can make. As we get older, we don't really have the ability to charge those cells like we did when we were 20. So we have a supplement that can actually help your body turn on more potential and allow your cells to be charged longer throughout the day. So what you would expect to be normal functioning, that's normal. Like that's what we feel when we're healthy and feeling pretty vibrant and, we're taking care of ourselves. But one thing I've learned, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree with me, is the older I get, the less time I have to take my thumb off that pulse for a minute and do anything different but focus on my health, because I'll fall apart quickly. Like I used to have a lot more resilience in the past, but your health is your number one asset. If you don't protect it, you're going to regret it. Okay. The regret of not doing the right thing now is going to be far bigger later than the regret of having to have the discipline to do it now and to be consistent with that. But we believe that the body can heal itself. We don't diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any conditions or symptoms. That's not what this is about. It's about education and knowing how to be a better steward to yourself and how to help your body recharge its cells. Your brain cells are the same ones you have since you were maybe 25, and they're going to be with you for the rest of the life. Their only job is to send information, and they need to recharge themselves at night when you're sleeping so you can wake up and I'm good to go. I can send information all day. If we don't sleep well and we don't take care of ourselves, we don't get that full charge anymore, and we peter out early. Your brain cell that runs out of battery, think of it like your exotic car that's beautiful, but it's just sitting in the garage. It's great, but I don't use it. I don't do anything. It looks pretty when I walk past it. That's what your brain cells are when they run out of a charge. Like, I need a signal. Like, yeah, I wish I could help you, but I'm on a break. I'm just hanging out, relaxing right now. So I'm not going to give you that signal. So we talk about overcoming any type of symptom, any type of condition. Number one step is to restore potential in our cells. Health is nothing more than a dance of electrons around our molecules. And if we have that, we can be healthy. And if we don't, we will get sick. We will have health issues. So we use these molecules in our practice because it gives everybody that leg up on what you're trying to do. If I could show you how to do something 2 or 3 times faster, wouldn't you be interested in how would I make that happen? It's all about optimization and efficiency in ourselves, in our life. And, keeping, life can be very simple. Keeping it that way is very difficult. Okay? And so we need the potential to maintain every aspect of how we're living and experiencing our life.
Mark, you had a serious, horrible accident. A lot of people you deal with, I'm assuming, are TBI, traumatic brain injuries of some sort. I know I heard Daniel Matthews, who we're going to have on our show in a couple of weeks. You've actually have seen her. But can you speak to the people out there that maybe have not had an injury? Do they still need to do this? Do they need to do redox? Do they need to do gold?
Sure.
Do they need to be proactive for their own health?
Well,
and when should they start that?
That's the word, is being proactive. I have patients that are 2 years old that absolutely needed redox and it saved their life. I have children with adult diseases. Why does that happen? Okay, we're living in a time where there's accelerated oxidation going on and our body can't keep up with it. And it's allowing bad things to overtake, like heavy metals and bugs and pathogens and you name it. We are bombarded. And so to think that you don't have to do anything until you start having problems, that's short-minded, thinking. It's like we have to now more than ever do everything we can to be self-sufficient in our own healthcare and not depend on other things like medications if we can avoid it. Obviously, there's a time and a place for it, and it saves our lives and it keeps us alive, but they all have side effects too. So many people, if given the choice, shown a way how to help your body balance that gland or that organ to where maybe you don't need additional help chemically, they would say, well, what do I have to do? And the doctors of the patients that I help, they're pretty open-minded to help titrating something if we can prove that it's getting better, but they don't want us to be reckless ever and just stop something. So we would never tell anybody to alter any meds or doses that you're on without the instruction from the person that prescribed it to you. Like everybody's unique. So we're all going to have different levels of healing at different times, but we're all the same in the fact of where we get that source from. And that comes from within ourselves. Everything that's harming us hits us from outside, and our defense mechanisms are trying to block it, wall it off, spit it back out, keep our charge, viable. And that's the best we can do. But the healing comes from the other side. It has to begin inside the cell and then make a better tissue and then have all the functions of these cells happen. And that's the miracle of redox, because without that, nothing happens.
Maureen, do you see? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love what Dr. Mark is saying on a couple of different levels, because this does not take the place of everything else that you need to do for yourself. It's going to keep you healthy. This is foundational. It's going to make everything else work better. It's the missing link. So I love that, because people are doing all sorts of things, and people need to, like you were saying, they need to get good sleep. They need to have exercise. They need to eat well. But they also need to replenish their redox because of all the different challenges that you were talking about. I also love the fact that you were talking about just Redox Gold by itself, although it is such a hit and people love it. And, it's amazing at getting rid of inflammation and taking care of relief and recovery. But that you still had to have the redox molecules too, because they have a different benefit profile. So, you can't just replace one with the other. It's a 1-2 punch, the
Absolutely.
broad spectrum. And then you go, you're hammering the NRF2 with the gold. So fabulous points that you're bringing up that are so well said. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Maureen, are you seeing, it seems like since the pandemic that we have had an awakening, that people are seeming like again, I was on 500 pain pills a month 10 years ago. I've had 10 back surgeries, I think you remember, Mark. But it seems like people are becoming more aware. They're going more towards chiropractic. They're going more towards natural paths. And because they were so much forced upon us that I think people really have repelled and go, man, I got one body, I've got one shot. Is that something that you're seeing? The same thing with Lee? Are you seeing people coming back to and raising my hand saying, you know what, I think I'm responsible for my own health? Well, are you seeing an awakening?
Yeah, that's the whole thing is, you've heard me say it, 100 times, probably even more, that, when somebody comes to the doctor, they're on sort of a stair step for their health. And when they're halfway up there and they're doing okay, they're just living their life. They're not being proactive, like Dr. Mark was saying. They don't come to see the doctor until they start sliding down that staircase, and they're trying to keep from getting to the bottom, which is the land of no return. And really, as physicians, we can only get people back to where they were. For people to get to optimal health, they have to take ownership of their own health, and they have to do all those things. Actually, like your mom is the best doctor, right? She's like, get fresh air and sunshine and all of that. Yeah. So, what we're seeing is like functional medicine. And I would say, Mark, that you are part of that as well, where doctors are looking for root causes of things, not just looking to give another pharmaceutical or do another procedure. They're looking for what is causing the problem to begin with. And so there has been a little bit of a paradigm shift, and more physicians are getting on board with that. You know, I'm going to tell you, I had no nutritional education whatsoever. I had one day with a book that showed people's tongues and, bow legs and stuff.
Right?
Horrible. And now we know just how important nutrition and the gut and all of
Yeah.
that is as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to, something you just said, doctors are looking for the source of the problem, but sometimes you can't do that, can you? But yet with this technology, the technology is just doing more to my body to wake up my body to go find out the root of the problem. Am I
True.
correct in saying that, Mark?
True. Like if we're not treating anything, I'm treating low potential. Okay. When my cells get threatened by maybe my lifestyle, maybe an infection that snuck in, it's all about immunity and how well and how quickly and resilient I am to respond to any type of challenge. You can't live in utopia and never have stress and never have an injury. That's just not reality. The reality is that we're constantly getting bombarded with unexpected things, and we need that variable. Having variable in our heart rate throughout the day, through all of our glands and our organs, they're sending us signals to slow down and to that I need to rest for a minute. And if we override that and say, no, I'm a workaholic, I can't stop because you don't understand. I got responsibilities. And then what's going to happen? They're going to stop signaling you. They're going to be like, oh, he doesn't listen anyway, so let's just run with him. I guess we're going to all adapt and run wide open until you drop dead. Like, why did he just drop dead? He's the healthiest person I know. He had all sorts of energy. He wasn't listening to the signaling in his body to tell him to slow down, to tell him it's okay to get up and run, and to have all these variables. And that's a signaling issue. So again, when we talk about any aspect of health, we have to look at signaling first. It's always neurological before blood flow. And then blood flow is carrying all these hormones and neurotransmitters and signaling molecules as well. So if I could teach somebody how to fish, they're going to be able to sustain their life. If I just go fish for them every time they're hungry, they're just dependent on me to feed them. And so we need to come as a collective together and just teach people how to fish. This is why you take care of yourself. And this is how, and I think over the last few years, there's been a lot of disenchanted people in the approach of medicine, and to where people are like, maybe I should research this a little bit. Congratulations. You should always be asking questions and researching anything to see if this is proactive for me or is this reactive to me, And so there's so many things that people could be doing to have major breakthroughs that they're not even aware is right around the corner. It's like they've been digging for gold all these years. They're like, you know what, I'm done. And they throw their equipment down and leave. And the next person goes, oh, a pick, hits the wall one time and finds the biggest gold reserve in the US.
Right.
Like, everybody is so close to finding that when they've heard somebody say, hey, have you heard about Redox? It was like, hey, did you hear I have a tunnel over here that's gold and nobody knows about it yet? That's exactly what we have in the analogy. And so people are more open, like you said, now more than ever, to be proactive about something that they can do to feel better. So many people have this long haul thing going on. They don't feel better. They've just, ever since they got sick, they just never quite had the pep again, and so they need potential. Okay. You don't want a chemical to speed you up and another chemical to speed you down. And so many people live on an upper or downer, and that's not longevity. Your nervous system will eventually catch up to you. So we just have so many solutions that offer now with this Redox Gold much more immediate results, which is, I'm all about the results. I want to bring the good news and share what we can do. And once people see that, the attitude plays 50% of the role on the health of your cells. People used to think it was all lifestyle. It's 15% lifestyle. 35% the bacteria in your gut, that's the antennas for your cells to get a weather report. And then 50% of that is the thoughts that you're thinking, the attitude. Knowledge and wisdom is knowing what thoughts not to think. How about that?
Interesting.
Exactly. So I wanted you to share a little bit about, you had said you were doing a bottle a day, and I know there's people that there's times they need to do that much. So then gold came in your life. So did you is your normal routine half a bottle a day and then a couple times a day gold, and then maybe renew from wherever you apply that? Maybe you can go over that.
Well, I guess I'll just be transparent. With my pelvis being fused all these years, my hips have been grinding right through my hip sockets, and I just thought it was back pain. So I kept ignoring it. And normal pelvises glide and articulate like this when you walk. Mine doesn't. So it just kind of does maybe a little bit of that. So I'm needing 2 hip transplants right now. And so because of that, I'm like, why have I needed to up it and up it? 8 ounces a day was all I needed for many years. And then it was 10, then it was 12, then it was 16 for like a year. Now it's like I could do a whole bottle and it doesn't really take it away. And it's like, okay, I have advanced arthritic issues that need to be dealt with, and then I'll be like the bionic man again, and then I won't need as much. But it makes sense that I've been needing more as I was creating more damage, unforeseen. It's just in a couple of years, everything kind of fell apart. And it's because I keep walking. I keep walking. Like I was down for a lot of years. And so when I got my legs back 11 years ago, I was making up for lost time, doing all sorts of fun stuff. And you know what? I honestly, it's just kind of caught up to me a little bit. But people tend to need more when they have something that they're dealing with health-wise. And then if they can get over that crisis, then they can use less, and still maintain that. But that's unique and that's different for everybody. The rule of thumb that I've kind of abided by is keep taking another 2 ounces every day until after they've been on it, maybe 4 ounces or 6 ounces for a couple weeks. Keep adding 2 more ounces every day until you don't smell or taste anything. And that usually is your sweet spot for now. And if you get sick, it's going to taste off. So you might need a little extra when you're fighting things, but don't back off too fast either, because you'll think you're fine for a day or two. And then all of a sudden you'll have several days to catch up to where you were. So I kind of equate it to the tide. We live on the ocean down here in Florida. So it goes up and down all day long. And so our needs for these molecules are going up and down all day long. If we have more, okay, it's easier for us to deal with stuff and the downs aren't so low and we don't even maybe notice them. So it's amazing that slowly we can start rising the tide just by being consistent. So I don't think there's like a magic number for everybody. I have everybody do 6 ounces minimum. I don't care how old they are. That's to me what the most of the research was based off of. So the equivalent. And so to go less than that doesn't make a lot of sense. I did that study 2 years ago where I had people drinking 8 ounces for 90 days and doing no other new products, no other new therapies, just whatever the routine they were already on. And we saw over a 50% change in their neurology just from drinking it. And so that was super exciting for me because for 10 years, I've been adding this to all of our protocols. And yes, we get all the results faster, but I couldn't say how much of that was because of Redox. I will say that when the patients do Redox, which is 99% of them, we expect 50% change, 40 to 50% in a brain map. And when they don't, and they just being stubborn, okay, they're going to get 10 to 25%. And if they're okay with that, then let's do that. So to me, it doesn't make sense. Like I'm one that I want to be most efficient and get the most from my time in anything that I'm doing. And so this is a very easy solution, and it's not going to push somebody back so far. I have patients like, I don't know if I can afford that because I have a medication I pay $1,800 a month for. And I'm like, well, maybe if we did this, you might not need as much of that. I don't want, talk about conditions or specifics, but, a lot of it boils down to priorities. They'll say they can't afford $150, but they'll go out to dinner every Friday night and spend $200. So maybe one less dinner out a month and have what your body needs so you can be here a lot more months.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I'm sure people would love to see some of your studies. I don't know if we have time for you to do the first one. With the 8 ounces and the renew and then the gold, or if you just want to do the gold?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on doing the first one. I was just going to
Okay,
share
great.
because we've done that before. I got some new imagery from a new data set of patients that we haven't
Okay.
had last time. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks
Awesome.
like. So we love this Redox Gold. And for those of you that are new, this is molecular gold, 24 karat, that is bound to our redox molecules that actually can drive these molecules down one gene pathway. The one that's causing 80% of all the conditions out there, it's called oxidative stress or inflammation. So we use the other redox product for all function of all cells. It's amazing. This one key on the keyboard, okay, just for that inflammation one. So I'm about to share with you several slides, and there might be a couple condition names on these. I am going to make my claim right now that we are not talking about treating or diagnosing or curing or preventing any condition. I'm a physician, and this is objective measuring for patients that came to me with said condition. And we were trying to see how the body responds to stimuli that might help the body return to homeostasis and be able to do more. Okay, so take it for that. Don't start saying that this treats these things if you see a couple conditions show up. Otherwise, that I'll keep it completely compliant. So when we look at the cortex of the brain, that's the outer inch or so of the tissue of your brain, and that's what you control. That's how you experience your life. It's what you think, it's what you say, it's what you feel, it's what you do. It should be green, is ideally that has the ultimate potential. If it's blue, think of your battery as depleted. That's more oxidative stress. The signals are slowing down. Dark blue is very severe. That's over 4 deviations too slow from what normal is. And so that's considered severe. That's going to take a whole lot longer to wake up. And here's the thing. When it's blue and the nerves have slowed down or even shut down, we don't know if we can bring them up. That's a hard thing to do, is to bring potential back to an old battery that's 50 years old. Is it going to charge? I don't think so. Okay, so it may or may not happen. If it were all red and yellow, this would be an inflamed brain. Too many signals, too fast, bombarding those nerve ends. We can't keep up with that. That's not better either. This isn't more is better. This is ideal is best. Okay, there's this homeostasis where your brain is green. So we did a study. We have half a dozen people here, one pea size of Redox Gold at the top of the neck, right on that little soft spot. And we waited 15 minutes and then redid all of our brain scans again. And that's what I'm about to show you. So it went from an average of a lot of low potential to within normal limits in 15 minutes. Now, we didn't extend the study to see how many hours does this hold for before it eventually goes back. And so these aren't permanent changes, but this is charging these batteries to tell me, hey, what? They can hold a charge. They're not gone. We can absolutely change these. We can even grow more tissue in these areas if we can keep the potential high. Then we
Mark,
look at the inside of the brain. Yes.
hey, Mark, go back one slide, please.
Okay.
Is that real? Is that evidence right there? Is
this
that
is
real?
This is the study. Yeah, these are the people beforehand and then afterhand.
15 minutes.
Okay.
After 15 minutes of doing the gold. And so when we look at the inside, we have all these fibers like telephone lines, and they're sending information. The gray matter is 2,000 bits of data a second. Inside here, it's 400 million bits of data a second. So the subconscious brain works much, much faster. So we have the ability to literally remove all the fibers from the picture that are healthy and just leave the ones that are considered out of balance. So this was before. And when we're talking about information flow, this is like, hey, what's your name? You just say it. You don't have to think about it. So we're never supposed to see blue in this diagram. It should be all dense yellow and red. So this was a traumatic brain injury patient. And we put the gold on their brain, and the top one was supposed to be yellow. The fewer the lines, the healthier the brain is. So to see it clear up like this is so significant. We don't see anything happen this fast. Not in the white matter, not like we're seeing with this. And then the coherence of how much they're comprehending it. Again, when it's two colors, the blues and the reds, very unpredictable person. Like they could have on days and off days, and I don't really know why. It wasn't anything that they did, But to turn it all to the appropriate color, less than 2 deviations and so much thinner, it's very significant. Then we had everybody stare at an object that's not moving for 5 minutes, and that can be so hard for some people. That's called coherence. Here's another coherence, and then the lag coherence. When you're focusing, younger generations, it gets much busier because they're so used to instant dopamine release, and this is not moving. It's boring. I want to look somewhere else and I can't. It creates more stress and we see more lines. But in this case, not too bad to begin with. That looked actually really good. But afterwards, they were able to completely clear their mind, block everything out. Okay, the fewer the lines, the better. And then this is the same thing for coherence. And this is the whole group compared to the whole group. They all had this much blue in coherence to start with, and then they all had that much in common afterwards with just a little bit left. The other thing we talk about when we look at the brain is broadband areas. Just like the map of the United States, you got all these little regions and they colored them differently just to identify them for you. But each one controls very specific things neurologically. So when we do a brain map, we have a full hearing test and then a concussion or a cognitive function test, and then an EEG and acute EEG. So we can see which Brodmann areas don't function ideally, or they're too high or they're too low. And how is that? What does that mean in your life? Because each one of those things controls very specific neurological issues in your life. And so I can tell you the things that are good and the things that are bad. So when we look at all these Brodmann areas, these little purple dots, think of it like the capitals of all those cities. And when we see all these lines at the top left, that's how many networks are communicating and talking within your brain. You have over 250 networks. Now, each dot sends a line of information to every other dot in its network. So I'll give you a couple examples in a minute, but just looking at all of them turned on at the same time, and then afterwards, it's been 30 years and I don't see this very often. I've seen it a couple times on unique cases, but to have so much of these networks come back to homeostasis so quickly is truly remarkable. We have an example. These are the two I'll talk about, anxiety or stress network. The more lines that are in here, the shorter your fuse is and the easier you'll feel feelings of stress or feelings of anxiety. So we see that clear it up. Does that mean that's going to help everybody that might have feelings of stress? No. It means that these people had in common a lot of these misalignments or Brodmann areas that are out of balance. And so these molecules go to the area in you that you need them the most. That's what's unique. So I can't tell you, we can't even direct these ourselves and say, hey, go here or go there. Your neurology has a database that says, hey, if I ever get some extra workers in here, I know exactly where they're going. I have a priority list. And so in this case, one of the patients had tinnitus and noticed that their ears stopped ringing as soon as I did that. I'm like, well, let's see what that looks like. And their whole tinnitus network came back online. Does that mean other people with tinnitus are all going to be healed? Absolutely not. There's lots of different reasons for why people have different symptoms or different conditions, and it's not always the same pathway to get back. The point of the matter is we can bring potential back to your brain cells, and guess what? They start talking again. They start communicating again. And it's because every one of those brain cells makes redox molecules to help break through the potential of anything that's trying to put it down. So we love the fact that we have targeted relief and recovery now with the Redox Gold. When we think of global function, all cells, these are our redox signaling molecules, which is liquid, and then the renew is 2 times stronger. Again, all function of all cells. So one of these gels does not replace the other. They both enhance each other and work together. For years, we've been doing the Renew 28 with all of our brain patients right before and after training, rubbing it right on their carotids and the brainstem, and that was doing amazing things, as we know. Now it's even faster, more targeted. So we still do both. We still start with the Renew 28 and then add the gold at the end of that, because that is what is going to make all of this inflammation in the brain go down. I will point out the fact that your brain has 20% of the blood in your body, even though it's only 2% of your body weight. We're the only animal on the planet that has that ratio because we produce way more oxidative stress than any other species. And so we need our blood to put it out, right? We need these signaling molecules to neutralize all that oxidative stress that we're creating within our brain. So I know we're drinking, it says it goes everywhere in the body, and for the most part it does. I believe, and this is my opinion, that the majority of it's going right to your brain immediately because you're always could use extra when it comes to brain health. And I'd say that because I've done so many maps over the years and see exactly how the potential gets restored. And the ones that don't do it, oh, it's just so sad. It just takes so long. And I hate those days when it took months and months to see a little bit of a change. And thank God that they had the patience to hang in there that long to get the change. But I guess I'm either more impatient or we just expect things faster now. And now that we have something like the gold, it's like, giddy up. We can start making some changes immediately so you absolutely appreciate what this is doing. And then the other products that we have just make sense. There's not going to be as much pushback. So I love the fact that we have something that can give us more immediate aha, moment for our clients to realize, wow, that really did do something. I feel different. This is amazing.
Hey, Mark, I have a question.
Sure.
You were talking about applying the Redox Gold to the back of the neck, right? Have you done any variations of that whereby you might apply it to, say, the center of the spine, down in the lumbar area, or down in the thoracic area, somewhere else along the spine? Do you get the same results in the brain readings at the top of the spine when it's applied, say, at the bottom of the spine?
That is a great question. And the answer is no, we don't get the same readings, unfortunately.
So proximity in this regard matters.
Proximity is definitely the key for spinal discomfort, range of motion. Yeah, throughout the spine can get better results from up top. But I've had a couple dozen people that just putting it on the brainstem, their nerve discomfort in their feet and hands goes away. Versus just putting it another day on their low back, their feet goes away, but their hands doesn't, or their discomfort in their neck.
So you're the higher control center.
And also I tell people, if you're going to do it on the spine, make sure you bend over and try to open up your vertebra as much as possible so you're getting into the soft tissue that can easily penetrate through. Don't go into extension and rub it because you're locking all your bones together and you're not going to penetrate it that deep. Now, I will say we've even seen a difference from just doing it here. We started doing it here first, and it was like, a 10, 15% change. And then when I did brainstem, it was like, oh my gosh, 40, 50%. Like brainstem was the key, And so, and I was taught we rub it up into the skull, the bottom edge of the skull. So if I'm on the top of my neck, but I'm rubbing it and pulling it down, it won't have the same effect in the brain. So the direction in which you're putting it onto your neck, that will make a difference too. We want to rub it up. So we want to push it up in that direction. And
so you're up trying to access the atlas and the occiput, right? That's
right.
What
the brains, right at the brainstem. It goes right through C2. Atlas and axis is the brainstem.
But you're
right?
trying to get the brain tissue rather than.
I'm trying to get between atlas and axis. So when we tuck our chin, it really kind of opens that up a little bit. That soft spot right below the middle of the back of your skull, that's pretty much what you want to rub on.
So drop your chin when you do it.
And I've been training everybody to do that morning and night. Hey, have it next to your toothbrush. When you're getting ready for bed, a little bit of there, first thing in the morning too. Do that for a week, especially for all of you.
Do you have any guesstimates how long it will last? Mark, do you have any guesstimates on the length? I know you said 15 minutes, but have you tried an hour, 2, 3, 4? I mean, I'm tempted to do
but not with enough. I have tested people for 12 hours later even, and it varies. So it's hard, unless I had a bigger subject list, like 50 people, then I could probably have, a better answer for that. But, it just depends on how much healing is your body needing. Like, obviously, if you have a lot more injuries and have a lot more need, it's not going to last as long. And so,
Um,
but the good thing is you can't put too much. So if you do it twice a day, or maybe you need it 3 or 4 times a day, that's good.
So
Mark,
let me
Oh,
I just want to follow up on that point
Yeah.
because I have to confess, I don't understand exactly the brain mapping technology. Taking your word for it, right? And realizing, because we're sitting here, we're applying a solution, a gel, to a body part. And most of us are going to say, oh, I feel better. I mean, it's totally subjective, right? It's like, it's a
Sure.
subjective report of symptoms or feeling or whatever. And the thing that I kind of enjoy, with your assessment is like right, wrong, or indifferent. It makes a difference. Something is happening that is
Yeah.
that is objective. And again, to our listening audience, we're not diagnosing. We're not using this as a diagnosis. We're not treating. We're just observing a difference. Much like when we had David Neiman doing the performance test, we weren't diagnosing performance. We were just saying that when X is given to the body, and then we draw blood and measure, this is what we're seeing, right? And so there's an objectification of the data that is hard to explain away. And there may be other things going on. There's a lot we could drill into relative to NRF2 and glutathione and antioxidant and the ability to upregulate mitochondrial function, et cetera, because that's where the redox molecules come to. But when we're applying redox signaling molecules or redox signaling via redox gold, we are mimicking what goes on in nature. We're mimicking a mild stress to the mitochondria so that it will make more redox signaling molecules natively. And so we kind of come, it's a 2-barrel shotgun, as it were. It's like we're giving a supplement that has redox signaling, but we're also upregulating mitochondrial function to the point of creating native redox signaling molecules, which do what they do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When we do the brain mapping, we have 19 microphones placed around the head, and they're recording neural synapses. So I'm recording the voltage potential of these signals. And so I can see how much each region and tissue in the brain, how much of a charge is it holding, and how many cycles a second is it delivering in a signal that tells me which brainwave it actually is. How many times it oscillates every second will be the difference between delta, alpha, theta, and beta, and high beta. So we can see each little tissue, 12,800 cubes of 7 millimeter tissue, I can identify separately and tell you what it's doing or not doing. Where's the potential of it? This one's got a really low battery at 30%. This one's got 110%. It's overheating. Okay. And so there's more going on neurologically here than there. And so we want the potential to be equal, and evenly spread to where it has the ability to give more if needed, but also less when needed. You need to be able to adapt according to things that are going on around you. And so if people's potential is wide open and they have so much going on and they can't slow down, there's nowhere else to go if there was stress. So you don't know what stress feels like anymore. And it's hard to slow down because you're stuck wide open. And so, this is signaling. Okay. And so we can take medications to drive them, but that's going to only last for a little bit. Then you're right back to where you're regulated. So we want to dysregulate the way that you are and help your body spread the energy out better and share the potential.
So just to be clear, your apparatus, the helmet device that you're putting on that's measuring that, just so that everybody's clear, just make sure that I'm with you. That is not a treatment device. You're simply a sensing device. You're recording what's going on, and the physiological effect is coming from whatever else we're doing: eating, gels, ducks, thoughts, whatever it is, right? So you're just assessing.
We're listening really carefully. Okay. There's no shocking or no input into your brain. Okay. We're just listening like a fly on the wall saying, oh, look at all these thoughts that they're having.
Right. Okay. So that's really helpful to clarify that, because sometimes people think this is kind of a voodoo magic kind of thing, that I'm treating something. And it's like, what we're doing is we're affecting the physiological state by whatever it is we're eating or applying or thinking or
Mhm.
relaxing with, or etc.?
Yeah, and there's absolutely no harm. It's non-invasive. We do it on infants, even the day after they're born. We can do it on 100-year-olds. Okay, so there's no limit on the age and time. We just want to see how well your brain's able to allocate and reallocate information throughout your brain and move the blood around. All these things are neurological synapses that create that to happen.
Can I ask a quick question? How does this
Mhm.
compare to like an EEG?
It is an EEG.
Oh, okay. Just
It's an EEG and a QEEG. So the EEG could be just 7 spots. The Q is 19. The Q triangulates everything. The EEGs can show each lobe of the brain and get an idea of the rhythms and all of that as well.
But I'm sure you're using software though with that to
Oh
analyze.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because that's for you. That's the key thing, right? Is you're
Oh yeah,
the
it's
data, and
objective.
then you have a software application that
Yeah,
processes.
And that's
and
your
it's all
software
FDA cleared.
application.
It's all FDA cleared equipment. So there'll be published studies with all of this, and the stuff that we have is the best of the best. And I even have a brain system that does all that cognition test that Medicare covers. And so when you know insurance are covering and wanting to see that to validate if you have cognitive decline, traumatic brain injury, mood disorders, then you know it's valid because they're not going to approve and pay for things that are
Right.
trivial.
how does hearing improve? Not that we're treating.
It's huge. Yes. Now, I haven't done hearing with just a SIA, but it is part of our treatment protocol after we do the cognition test and we can see hearing loss. And we have them come into the office for a little protocol of a handful of treatments. And we've seen across the board 10% improvement in hearing in just like 2 weeks.
So
It's
my
amazing.
mother-in-law who won't wear her hearing aid, should I have her put gold on the base of her skull?
Absolutely. And encourage her to put the hearing aids in. If you do have hearing loss, first of all, you don't realize you have it because you don't know what you're not hearing. And
Right.
secondly, your brain uses so much of your resources to try to fill in what you're not hearing, and that takes away from other normal processes. So when we do our cognition test, I can literally see when you heard it. You're supposed to hit the button for the high tone, ignore it for the low tone. So I can see the language center light up, that's a Broadband area. I can see it send it to the executive function, and then either goes to inhibit, don't do it, or it comes back to the motor, do it. I can see how much energy did it take to turn it on, to complete the task, and how fast did you do that. So now I got 25 metrics to know if you're in cognitive issues long before you have motor problems and can't do the motor thing on time.
No.
So a lot of
Yeah.
people can be fine with the motor, but they don't realize behind the scenes they're not hearing certain consonants or vowels, and their brain has to fill in the missing part in the words. So you think I heard that, but you didn't. You borrow, and that slows down other cognitive processes. So hearing loss is a very severe, probably one of the, outside of traumatic brain injury, it's probably one of the leading causes for cognitive decline for people.
That's
And
amazing.
so that's important. You want to get the hearing aids, as annoying as they are, it's saving your brain so you can actually remember who you are and talk to your family and enjoy your life and not have it all just slip away.
I'm going to regret all that Led Zeppelin,
Right? The good news is, Maureen, there's always hope. We can have your body can make new tissues, right? And
Yeah.
it can improve things to some degree. We've had all sorts of people. I mean, just in the 10 years I've been on this, I don't need readers anymore. And there have been times that I stopped spraying it in my eyes, and all of a sudden I need readers again. Like, I'll never stop that. So it's just part of my routine morning and night. And it's an almost an instant change for me.
Yeah. I love the point you made in your intro when you said that, these other clinicians, why aren't they on board? You're seeing things in people you help, things happen faster, and all these other clinicians, it's taken them a couple years where they can see any kind of big change. Can you repeat what you said at the beginning? It might have been your own changes. You said gold came, you used it, and then 3 days, you were like 3 days later.
Oh, yeah. So I
Repeat
purposely, when I flew out to to Utah in January to be the big reveal,
Right.
I had just a carry-on, so I didn't have any liquid ASEA. And I thought, well, they're giving us the gold tomorrow. I'm coming home tomorrow night, so I can probably put my body to the challenge 'cause I really want to see what this feels like and if it's going to help me. And so my hands were pretty lit up, my feet were pretty lit up. I did just the pea size on the like a C6 area, the base of my neck, where most of my issues are. It took 2 minutes for all my hands to go away. And then it was still a little discomfort in there. So I waited about 15 minutes. I did a second dose of the same spot. And that time my feet felt better. And then I purposely didn't do it for 3 days, which was crazy, but I
Okay.
just had to know because usually it would last a few hours if I did some, drank it and did the other. And so I was amazed at how well I held it up. And then I started declining quickly because my body felt them not having the liquid for those days. And so, I was able to bounce back in a day or two by just consuming my Redox again. But I've had that similar experience with probably a dozen patients in the first 2 weeks that
Wow.
I came back. Like,
Okay.
show me where your pain is. Let's try it this way. Let's put it here. I've had somebody on the knee that they're pointing to the inside of the knee joint. Right there, it's just stabbing pain. I put a little bit there, nothing happens. And then we wait 15 minutes, still nothing. Well, it might be a little bit better, but it didn't really work. I go on the opposite side of the joint, put a little dab there. And then within 2 minutes, like, oh my gosh, it's gone. So it's like a laser, but sometimes you just have to keep trying a different
Mhm.
angle, a different approach. You don't know what tissue really needs it that might be attached there, but ends up going to another place. And so if it's any trunk area, just go to the spine at that level. That's pretty simple. If it's arms, you're going to your neck. If it's low back or feet and legs, you're going to your low back. And that usually will work better than going to the actual spot. Because again, we're
Yeah.
getting it right into the nervous system.
Makes sense. Thank you.
I can only imagine that they have new metal, heavy, precious metals coming out and that are going to do all different things. It's just like, I can't wait to learn about all of it. And I feel like we don't even scratch the surface with the gold. I mean, they released it for discomfort and release and repair.
Mhm.
And I immediately go, well, if it's doing inflammation, that's the main thing we deal with all of our pain patients. The faster we can keep the inflammation down, the further they can go. And so let's go, let's see. And honestly, I didn't expect it to be that good. And it holds up. Let's just say it that way. You don't have to have a brain scan. I'm just saying, put it on your brain. It certainly can't hurt it. It's, if anything,
No.
it's going to help something function a little smoother. Inflammation is not a good thing. And two, we're just so used to inflammation that we deal with it and we adapt. Like we said earlier, you can adapt around your problems, but that doesn't fix them. Okay, just because you've adapted around the pain, there's still degeneration happening in there. And I proved that to myself, unfortunately, not seeing x-rays for a few years. It all happened just in the last 3 years. Because I retired, moved to Florida, just kind of took it easier. And oh my goodness, it can catch up to you.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of minutes left, Mark, and I'm thinking school is getting ready to start soon, and one of the most stressful times, not for the parents, but for the kids. Do you see a need? Because there's so much stress that these children,
Sure.
elementary, middle school, high school. It seems like this would be very smart to just do this with your children on the back of the neck. I mean,
I would have a little thing of the gold, the sample in all of their book
Mhm.
bags. You're having a hard time in class focusing, you're feeling like you're getting tired, you're just not having the energy, or you're feeling moody and emotional. I've seen it work from the sad side to the stress side, in both in between. So it's not like it's designed to do one thing. It's designed to help bring you back to homeostasis. I mean, that's why we make redox. Number one reason, and Dr. Lee, tell me if I'm wrong, is to keep you alive, like all your vital signs, to keep everything in check. And once we're in homeostasis and our brain thinks we're happy or healthy, that we're not at risk of dying, then it's going to use whatever it can to get that leg up on healing somewhere. But it's not going to sacrifice the pH of your blood or your heartbeat because you have an ingrown toenail that you're wishing this redox would go fix, And so there are certain fundamental things that like I said earlier, your brain has a checklist of a honeydew list for when we get extra workers in here. What are we getting fixed first? And every one of us has a different thing on the list. So
I can't help but sit back and just think, I'm not medical, obviously, but this just sounds crazy to have something like this. And we always hear it, Mark, that, oh gosh, if it's doing all of this, everybody would know about it. What's your
We
answer to
do.
that?
I said, we do all know about it. You're just the one that was missing it. So I'm glad you came up to speed. We don't do anything that's foo-foo, okay? We're science-based. I'm all about outside the box thinking, 100%,
Mhm.
but it's got to be valid. It has to have some sort of scientific efficacy and way to track something objectively that has no idea what the patient knows I'm even asking or checking. Just come in and scan, try this. Let's scan you again. I'm not even going to show you the results, but thanks for coming in. When we pay people to come do studies, we don't tell them what we're looking for and why they're taking this. They want to be part of a study.
So speak to Maureen, speak to Lee Osler. They're not part of this. They haven't done it. How would you get them to take a look at this? What would you say to them?
Well, I'd ask, hey, have you ever heard of your body's redox molecule, redox signaling molecules, and that your body makes? And they'll know, what's that? Oh, it's really cool because we always try to learn about how far upstream can I go to heal this root cause? Like, what's the root cause of it? I got one better for you. Once you've found the root cause, your cells start healing it inside the cell at the cellular level. And the first thing it wants to do is create electricity to power your cells so it can have function. And it wants to be able to communicate. Without the ability to signal other cells, nothing's going to happen. So we have the ability, this groundbreaking supplement that nobody else in the world has, and you'll never see this again, but you can get these molecules that you've been depleted of for all these years because your body ages and you make less. Is having better vitality and a longer life of health, is that something that's important to you? I got to ask you that question, because if it's not, I'm wasting my breath trying to tell you this cool thing about how we can do it. What kind of challenges have you had? It would be a good question to ask. What did you do about it? How did that work for you? Have you ever considered? I like to always come back to, what? I agree with them. I used to feel that way. I had a similar situation and I was frustrated. I went to doctors for years. I spent my entire savings trying to find the answer to get my health back. And then I ran out of money and I wasn't better. And then I really started to panic. But then somebody told me about this. I was totally skeptical at first. I didn't think salt water was going to do anything. But then I tried it. And then looking back, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I wasn't closed-minded, because if I didn't have these molecules 10 years ago, I'd have still been in my chair, or I would have been out it for maybe a year and then right back in it. I mean, I need signaling molecules because my nervous system has a lot more need than most people's. And when I found this little trivia, simple answer, all that I kept remembering is with my dad, God bless his soul, saying, Mark, don't give up. Hang in there. You're going to find the solution. Something probably hasn't been invented yet, but it will be. And if you just don't quit and hang on, you are going to find it. And thank God I did. This wasn't invented all those years when I was in my wheelchair. It wasn't around back then. So had I known, oh my goodness, 17 years it took me to slowly overcome that. And then another decade of trying really hard to keep out. It takes hours of therapy every day just for me to feel good. But that's the price I pay to be able to go love and serve and help people. I'll just keep doing it for the rest of my life. It's no problem.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's amazing.
What a way to wrap that puppy up.
Yeah.
Maureen, Lee, anything to offer? That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm lost for words.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Bottle of hope.
Thanks, Marcus. It was enjoyable to have you tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just love what you guys do. I mean, we have such an important mission here to truly help people become self-aware. The more people just say, you know what, I guess I'm the only supply sergeant that's responsible for putting anything in my mouth. How about that? And so you can't blame anybody else for your health issues or for ignoring this message. If you hear it and then don't take action later on down the road, don't look back with regret. We're talking about a simple solution. And guess what? It works for all of us because your body makes it. So it's impossible for it not to help you. How it's going to help you? Hey, I would love to know. It's yet to be determined because only your innate intelligence knows what it would do with extra workers. For me, I want to just have a plethora of workers. Nobody's unemployed in my body. Okay. And everybody's got a job. And as many want to
All
come, I'll
right.
give you a job too. So
Beautiful. Well, Mark, thank
That's
you,
great.
thank you, thank you.
Great
This was awesome.
Thank you.
Uh,
Great call.
Just so you all know that Alan Noble is back in the seat next Thursday. So, and then the week after, we have a fella by the name of Danny Doyle
Wow.
with Mal Sword, Ed Weens, and Jerry Yerke. Will be doing the show the following Friday. So we will be actually off for 2 weeks.
The following Thursday.
Yeah, the following two Thursdays.
It's a business night. That one with Danny.
So anyway, yeah, and we'll get the flyers out. I'll take care of the flyers. But Mark, thank you so much. This recording will be up at redoxmatters.com. What was that?
awesome.
3?
Yeah, I'm off to a meeting right away, so it'll be later this evening.
Okay. Oh, a couple of hours. Okay, great.
For sure. Thank
So
you.
with that, guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry I forgot to turn the chat back on, but I'm glad I didn't have the chat on because I did not want to miss what you said
Yeah, be
the
distracted.
last 10 minutes. That was absolutely beautiful. So
Thank you again,
Awesome.
Mark.
Dr. DeBrincat, thank you for
Awesome. See
You're
you
welcome.
after
Thanks
a
so
couple-
much
God bless.
for
Thanks,
having me.
Maureen. Thank you,
God
Lee.
bless
See you in a couple
everybody.
weeks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you on convention.
Yeah.
Yes. Yoo-hoo.